Good morning. As of yesterday, Baltimore has 14,617 reported cases, 112 people hospitalized with COVID-19, and we are still at 428 deaths. I'm up here every week to ensure our residents have the most up-to-date and accurate information, so they in turn can make smart and informed decisions for themselves and their families. We remain focused on continuing to scale up our response to this emergency and to ensure residents of our city have the resources and support that they need at this time. While continuing to leverage the wealth of medical and public health experts here in the city of Baltimore, I want to remind residents of the invaluable resources available at coronavirus.baltimorecity.gov. Their residents can find real-time data for Baltimore City as well as locations for where they can get tested. We need all of our residents to commit to wearing face coverings. It is the easiest thing we can do to slow the spread. I know that the governor announced the state would be moving to phase 3 at 5 p.m. today. While some parts of the state may feel ready to move fully into phase 3, that is not the case for the city of Baltimore. Right now, we want to focus on harm reduction and public health safety for the holiday weekend. We do not want to erase the gains we've made over the past month by loosening restrictions now, especially right before a time known to have large gathering of family and friends. Now is still not the time to be planning large parties, cookout celebrations, or religious events. We're still in a pandemic, one that's built to spread rapidly in large groups. I know people are not looking to catch COVID, but is looking for you. The coronavirus pandemic hasn't gone anywhere, but we know what we need to do. In order to continue to lower our case numbers, abide by these simple rules over the Labor Day weekend. Do not host cookouts with people outside of your household. Wear a mask when in public. Practice social distancing in public. And also wash your hands. Labor Day is usually an opportunity to see friends and family. But Baltimore, don't forget, we're still in an active pandemic. My executive order exists to protect the public from this dangerous disease. Please do not gather in large groups. And if you are out in public, wear a face covering to protect yourself and others. Let's get through Labor Day weekend safely without violence or an outbreak of the coronavirus. On Wednesday, I announced that next week, Baltimore City would move into phase 2. Effective on Tuesday, September the 8th at 5 p.m., indoor dining will be allowed at 50% maximum occupancy. Religious facilities will be allowed 50% max occupancy as well. Retail establishments and malls will be allowed 50% maximum occupancy. Indoor recreation establishment will be allowed 50% maximum occupancy as well. The casinos will be allowed 50% maximum occupancy. As far as indoor and outdoor gatherings, if the space involved has a fire code related maximum occupancy, then cap is 25% of that occupancy for gathering in that space. This includes the multi-space breakdown using my prior executive order. If the space involved does not have a fire code rated maximum occupancy, then the cap is 25 people for gatherings. The best example of this is an event at a catering hall versus a backyard gathering. The catering hall is going to have more safety protocols in place and more regulation, and thus allow 25% capacity. And at homes where protocol may be a little more relaxed, the cap is 25 people. Finally, I know a lot of residents are concerned and have reached out for guidance around youth sports. Our summer youth sports sessions run through September the 15th. Since the onset of the pandemic, Recreation and Parks has been fluid in their decision-making process. The agency has continually adjusted guidance as the data change. Next week, the Health Department and Baltimore City Recs and Parks will meet again to reevaluate the data and make recommendations for fall youth sports. Our main focus is on the health and well-being of our young people and our staff. Again, I want to thank the majority of Baltimoreans who have heeded the warnings and followed the guidance. And as always, we will continue to monitor the data daily. Now I want to turn it over to our Deputy Health Commissioner for Population Health and Disease Prevention, Jennifer Martin, to update you on our COVID response and how you can continue to protect yourself and your loved ones from COVID-19. Jennifer?
Good morning, and thank you, Mayor Young, for your continued leadership during this health crisis. My name is Jennifer Martin, Deputy Commissioner for Population Health and Disease Prevention at the Baltimore City Health Department, and more recently, the lead for the Health Department's COVID-19 Incident Command, set up in January to monitor and coordinate the public health response to COVID-19 here in Baltimore City. Today marks almost 1 month to the day since Mayor Young reduced the capacity of many businesses, including restaurants, to 25% on August 7th. At that time, Baltimore was seeing dramatic increases in new cases, data that required new executive orders to slow the spread of the disease. As Commissioner Gerasa said then, it is the Health Department's preference to wait at least a month after introducing new restrictions to monitor data and to see whether public health interventions are working. Over the last month, there have been encouraging changes in 3 key COVID indicators: new COVID cases, COVID deaths, and COVID test positivity. Between August 1st and August 26th, the 7-day average for the number of new COVID cases in Baltimore City declined by 57%. For the same time period, the 7-day average for the number of COVID deaths declined by 23%. In terms of COVID test positivity, there was a 40% decrease from 5.5% to 3.3% between August 1st and August 25th. We remain focused and concerned with the high chance of disease transmission associated with large social gatherings, such as parties, weddings, cookouts, and other celebrations. These settings, where a combination of factors, including relaxed social distancing, improper or absent use of face coverings, and being around others for extended periods of time, can elevate the risk of COVID exposure and transmission. As we head into a holiday weekend, it is critically important that all residents remember that attending large gatherings carries a higher risk of possible transmission. It may be Labor Day, but COVID doesn't take time off. While we are encouraged by the current data trends, there still is cause for the city to remain cautious as we move forward. This pandemic is not over, and we must all remain vigilant to ensure that our case numbers and deaths continue to decline. I'd like to remind all Baltimore City residents to continue to follow social distancing, to wear a face cloth covering over your nose and mouth, and to wash your hands frequently. Continued practice of these protective measures will reduce transmission of COVID-19 in our city and enable us to continue lifting restrictions and reopening. Thank you. I'll turn it back to Mayor Young now.
Thank you, Jennifer, and all the hardworking staff at the Baltimore City Health Department. With us today, we also have the chairs of the COVID-19 Small Business Task Force, Councilman Eric Costello and Shalonda Stokes, President of the Downtown Partnership. I want to thank our business community and especially our small businesses who have been hit the hardest by this pandemic for being patient as we work to open the city back up safely. Now I will ask them to come up and say a few words. Councilman Costello and Shalonda.
Thank you, Mayor Young, and for the Health Department, both for your leadership in helping keep our city safe. I'm Shalonda Stokes, President of Downtown Partnership of Baltimore, and I have the pleasure of also serving as co-chair of the Mayor's Small Business COVID-19 Recovery Task Force with Councilman Costello, so I thank you this morning. Like many, I'm hearing from businesses every day, and Mayor Young, I know these businesses will applaud the announcement today as they look forward to being able to reopen. Some of them do not have outdoor dining opportunities and can benefit from indoor. We also have many who, although they have outdoor dining capability, are just struggling to meet those margins, and so we welcome the announcement today. in talking with these businesses, we also understand the balance that we've had to take, that you've had to take in really helping keep our city safe. And we recognize that there's also the struggle with making those decisions, understanding that our neighbors a few miles down the road may be open and how that impacts our businesses. Some of our, beloved institutions over the way have had to close, but we're not a ghost town. And this is with our 600,000 residents, 43,000 nearly that live downtown, and the businesses who are willing to and able to step up and stick to this. We know we want to support them in the best way possible. We know it can't be done by government alone. And so I do want to use this time to also ask people to make sure they consider supporting these local institutions, these local businesses, making sure that in every way possible, we help everyone thrive in this. And so before I pass it over to Councilman Costello, I also want to just encourage, and I'll borrow this from the Ravens, in their theme now. It's really about staying positive and testing negative. So just to reinforce what the mayor said about the holiday as we move into this, make sure that we do our part so that we don't have the ability to really go backwards. We want to continue to keep our city moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Shalonda, and thank you, Mayor Young, for your leadership throughout this difficult time. Mayor Young, I want to commend you for your leadership and the action that you've taken today. I think this is a huge step for our small business community. We have heard you. Many of you have reached out with your concerns, understanding that it's extremely challenging, if not impossible, for a restaurant to make it on 25% capacity. So the small business community certainly appreciates that. And I think this is going to have far-reaching effects, not only for our restaurant community, but for our retail community, as well as facilities like Mondawmin Mall. So Mayor, I think the steps you've taken today, in conjunction with the health department to make sure we've taken a measured approach, are going to pay dividends as we start to hopefully repair our economy and put our small businesses in a situation where they're able to compete with their counterparts in the surrounding jurisdictions. Lastly, I want to thank the health department and, of course, my co-chair on the Small Business Recovery Task Force, Shalonda Stokes. Thank you.
I want to thank both of you for your hard work and advocacy on behalf of Baltimore small businesses. I want to say thank you to everyone, and I wish everyone a happy and safe Labor Day weekend. Stay safe. Make sure you practice social distancing, wash your hands, and wear your mask. Again, have a very happy holiday on Labor Day. Thank you.